Example 1. Solve by graphing. Letter A, x squared plus 7x equals negative 10. So if we're going to solve this by graphing, the first thing I want to happen is I want it to equal 0. So I'm going to add 10. When I do that, I'm going to have x squared plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. Now again, I can graph this quadratic function in a couple different ways, but ultimately if I want to solve this, I'm looking for the x-intercepts. So in order to find the x-intercepts, I need to put it in intercept form, so I'm going to factor. When I factor, 10 times 1 is 10. My middle term is 7. I have to multiply to 10, but add to 7. That's a 5 times 2. If I factor this, I'm going to have a 5x plus a 2x, and then I'm going to drop down my 10. I'm going to drop down my x squared. Grouping, out of the first one, I can pull an x, which leaves me with an x plus 5. Out of my second one, I can pull a 2, which leaves me with an x plus 5. And then I'm going to have an x plus 5 times an x plus 2 equals 0. 0 product property, x plus 5 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0. Solve both of those. My first solution is x equals negative 5. My second solution is x equals negative 2. Now, I know it says to solve by graphing, but essentially, you're done. You have already told me the solutions to this quadratic equation. They are negative 5 and negative 2. But for the sake of the directions and it says graphing, let's go graph our intercepts at negative 5 and negative 2. And then I'm going to look at my related equation up here, which was x squared plus 7x plus 10. My a value is a positive 1, so I know this quadratic function points up. So I'm just going to rough, I repeat rough, okay? I really don't even know. Draw a rough sketch. Because really, solve by graphing, all I'm looking for here are the x-intercepts. So my answer is a negative 5, and my answer is a negative 2. Letter C, x squared minus 8x equals negative 16. Once again, I'm going to start by making this 0. So x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. We're going to factor 16, negative 8, multiply to 16 but add to negative 8 would be a negative 4 times a negative 4. Split your middle term, negative 4x, drop the plus 16, drop the x squared. Grouping, first 2, second 2. Out of the first 2, you can pull an x. That leaves you with an x minus 4. Out of the second 2, you can pull a negative 4. That leaves you with an x minus 4. Then we can pull out an x minus 4, which leaves us with an x minus 4. And then we can use our 0 product property. So x minus 4 equals 0, x minus 4 equals 0. Add 4, x equals 4. Same thing, x equals 4. So really, the solution we're getting is we have one solution of x equals 4. That tells me I have an x-intercept at 4. Well, what does this graph look like? Well, it still has a positive a value, so again, rough sketch. And I repeat, rough. I'm not finding anything really other than my x-intercepts, and then I'm just saying, okay, the graph points up. And my solution would be x equals 4. Letter B, negative x squared equals 2x plus 4. Now, on this one, I could either choose to take both of those and move them over to the left, or I could just take the one of these and move it over to the right. I'm going to choose to add x squared because I really like my leading term to be positive. So 0 equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. Now, if we try to factor this, 4 times 1, middle number 2. We need to multiply to 4 but add to 2. My first thought would be 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, but that's not 2. Okay, my other option would be 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4, but that's not 2. So at the moment, this is not factorable. So if this is not factorable, what's going on? So in order to actually figure out what's going on without thinking about it too hard, once again, I'm going to grab my calculator and I'm going to type in my related equation. So we had x squared plus 2x plus 4. Take a look at your graph. Does your graph hit the x-axis? Because remember, if we're solving this, excuse me, we're looking for the x-intercepts. Well, this doesn't hit the x-axis. So if it doesn't hit the x-axis, that means it has no solution. So if we go back, there is no value of x that we could substitute in for x here and in for x here to make this equation true. So this is no solution. And more importantly, I'm going to write no real solution because it does in fact have an imaginary solution, but we're not going to quite cover those yet. So for right now, just no real solution. And then rough sketch. We had a graph over here somewhere. And again, rough sketch. No solution. It does not hit the x-axis. Letter D, x squared plus 7x equals negative 6. I'm going to start. I'm going to add 6. I'm going to add 6. X squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0. And then for this one, I'm just going to go straight to the graphing calculator. I'm not going to factor this one. I think we've had enough practice. So we had x squared plus 7x plus 6. If I take a look, I can just hover. I have a negative 6. I have a negative 1. Those are my solutions. So back over to my paper. X equals negative 6, comma, negative 1. And then if I wanted to draw my rough sketch, I would just copy it from my graph. It looked something like this. And again, I'm going to write rough sketch. We're not getting exact here. We're just looking for the x-intercepts.